here's a tip. Here is something that I bought at a 99-cent store. Okay, and I drew the line that is going to continue on to the whale, to the wheel well, as you see that. So I'm not cutting blindly. So that way everything is measured, everything looks like the way it's supposed to look as it keeps going down. All this detail just makes a whole lot of difference in how your car is going to look like and how this body kit is going to look like. I mean, I've seen some body kits on the street that people have done themselves, and you can tell they've done it themselves because all this stuff and all these details, they totally ignored it, and the thing just looks like crap. Alright, so there it is. I managed to cut, and as you can see, the wheel well is continued, and it looks like it was already there without any weirdness. So that's pretty much how that is done, and I used it with this little handy tool. And of course there's some sanding that needs to be done, and that way it'll be nice and smooth. But as you can see, that's the rough edge. Oh, let's go ahead. Okay, there it is. Let me focus. That's the rough edge, and we still have a lot of ways to go. Let's go and do the other side. Alright, this same one here. As you can see, the wheel well is continued, and there's no weirdness on it. One, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I did fix that. I added the support on this one. There it is. Looks pretty good, and it's trimmed. A couple of things that need to be done with this one. As you can see, there's some air pockets in here. Now here's something else. Here's the other one. Also came out pretty good. This one came out a little bit thicker, which is okay. And you know, it's not as thick as the other one, but it's fine by me. Added the extra support down here. And if I walk my ass this way, then you'll see how it is nice and straight. So there's the new hole. The old hole, I don't know if you can still see it, but it was right there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and clean this up here and then add more fiberglass on this edge. The same goes for this edge right here. I'm going to clean this up, make it look nice and pretty, and add more fiberglass on this side. And until we get a nice good edge, because you see, there you go, it needs that much. So see how it's bending like that? We're going to make this sucker a little bit more straight. The question would be, how did you get this material on? Well, here is something that you really need, and all my fiberglass material that I added onto any of these panels is using one of these 99-cent brushes and mixing your resin with the hardener and just, you know, dapping it like that until, like I said, really bad place to make a video, because every 5 seconds there's a fucking car going by. Stupid.
God f***ing damn it!
But I realized that I can get a better results by actually taking my fingers and stretching out the fibers while I'm tapping it with my other hand. So with the brush still, but as you can see, this is so much better, and it's starting to come out. I mean, I just realized this at the end when this thing was already turning into jelly. A little thinner, at least this area, because you see that how it's curving this way, and not only that, but when the screw sits on here, it doesn't sit perfectly straight. It sits in an angle like that. So we're going to go ahead and fix this, because we also have to increase it. If you see that gap right there, that's what we're going to go ahead and increase. You see that? Because we need to make this perfect square. Well, like so that. I wanted to show you this, that I have this attachment to my drill machine. This attachment here has Velcro, so it's a good idea to have, this is 80 grit by the way, it's a good idea to have these backings that have the Velcro ready to go. And I'm going to go ahead and make go ahead and drill it like that. So it's going to be nice and straight, and I'm not going to have thin areas and thick areas. So I'm back. So I couldn't get this thing to be nice and thin or thinner. The 80 grit just made it nice and smooth. But anyways, when I stick the screw in, you see that gap? The screw is not straight. It's supposed to be like this. And when we check the top, you notice that, see how it has that much, it's not straight from the back. So the same thing on the other side. The other side is actually a little worse. And of course it makes sense because this thing is not even straight. So here it's almost like it's slanted, or it's thick here and it starts to get small, so the screw starts pointing downward. So instead of the screw being like that, the screw starts being like this. Right? So we want to fix that by adding material, make it straight again. I ended up doing this, making, well, let me see if you can see it from this side. Okay, so I ended up doing this where it's just going to be one layer to start with. That way I can get it straight. And after that, we can start adding more layers right here. But I need something, a wall, so I can start putting more layers on it. Okay, I cover the hole, but no problem. You know, I will go ahead and drill another one just like it. Okay, so I did the same thing on this side. Did the wall. Let's go ahead and do it this side since the sun is facing. See, it's pretty much straight. I'm going to start putting material on this side. Right now this is one thin layer of fiberglass material. I finished doing this stuff. I've added the material that I needed to add. Looks pretty good. Also added some more material on here on this side. So it's going to be really nice. I think this is all the material I'm going to use for these kind of joints, or this kind of sectionals, whatever they will be called. Same thing on this side. I've added material on this side, and I've added the material that way it looks better. You know, it looks like a whole body. Now remember, I just added this material, so it's going to be messy like this, and then I'm going to go ahead and trim it down and make it look nice and pretty. I've also trimmed this down because it was too thick. That way now I have access to it. And what I mean about access to it, this stuff was blocking it because it was too thick. So what happens is that your tool ends up doing this, okay? Ends up going sideways instead of going straight. And if you're going sideways, that means that the screw is going sideways. So that's something that I really needed to fix.